Hi there, how you guys doing? So, what we're going to talk today about is aggressive dog breeds. And what do we consider aggressive dog breeds? Because I don't like the term, but you know what? That's what the insurance says. Right? Isn't it strange? Isn't it strange that people consider dogs to be aggressive? But actually, what causes the dog to be aggressive? Is there such term of aggression? So, from my experience, and you guys welcome to comment, you just make the comments underneath. Uh, so, can you guys see me? Do you guys see me here? Just give me a comment. Because for some reason, some things don't work today well. Make sure that everything is in order. Yeah, it's supposed to work. Or is my bandwidth weird? Huh. I see what's happening here. Good. Okay, I guess. That's so strange. Good. So, okay, feed is back to normal again. So we're talking about how the breeds are being captured as aggressive. Now, do you guys have one of those breeds, and how do you feel about that? What happens when you go down the street and you walk your big mastiff or your Presa Canario or your German Shepherd or your Great Dane? How do people look at you? Like, oh, this is a weird dog. He's supposed to be down the street. And some of them are walking just as small dogs, which are barking. And these people don't really care about their dogs. What they care is about how bad and aggressive your dog is, because you know what? Aggression you can actually see. You can see aggression over distance, right? That's what they think. So if you see a dog that has a shape, something that looks like something that you don't know of, and you think it's kind of a bully breed, or you know what, it's something that you saw in the insurance picture, that becomes a trigger. And then you, as a good dog parent who is walking um, down the street with your dog and your dog is well behaved, those people would eventually start challenging you. So, what would be the problem here? What's going to happen if one of those people are challenging you? You get frustrated, the dog gets frustrated, the other dog is barking already the whole time throughout the process. And what's going to happen next? Your dog will respond to that. It's a normal response, because all those breeds, when we look into those breeds, we see that all those breeds are in one way or the other guarding breeds or guardian breeds, right? Now, what happened in that process is that the guardian breed, seeing you emotionally change, will respond to stop that from happening. So we do have functional behaviors here. A dog's behavior can have two main reasons for things to stop happening and for things to be avoided. So in that case, what's going to happen is your dog will respond because that's what he is bred to do, right? Hi Tia, how you doing? So what is your take on that? How do you feel about these things? Do you feel these people are right to accuse your dog of being aggressive? Do you have aggressive behavior issues? And my other question is, what is aggression? I personally believe aggression is a human idea, okay? And it doesn't apply to animals. We use the term aggression, but if we say aggression, things pop up in our minds. Like I will tell you shark, and some things pop in your mind. So we have a belief system behind the word that represents something that is actually not the reality. And by the way, welcome to our coffee table. So tell me, how would you feel like if I tell you that aggression is not such thing that exists with animals unless the dog has an emotional issue. He has a trauma, he has a brain injury where his brain is not in control of his body. Or the dog has a severe trauma where he's being triggered to a fear response. And that response could be, biting, growling. Growling would be a visual behavior, but what's going to happen is the dog, the way that expresses that behavior as a general picture, when people see that as aggression. I see people who claim their puppy is aggressive because he growled at them. Of course, you will freak out, especially if you have kids. Now, if you walk down the street and that dog, big dog, like 100 pounds, 150 pounds, 200 pounds, 250 pounds, that's growling, you can feel the vibration, man. Roar. And what's going to happen next? It's up to you. Because usually what people do is they just, oh, let me grab it and show it to you, because it's kind of fascinating how we respond if our dog growls. Usually what people do is start wrapping the leash around their hand and like, no, and start correcting the dog for that behavior, which is actually not a bad behavior. It's not really, trust me. And the reason why I'm saying it's not a bad behavior is because imagine your dog will not show these behaviors. T-Bone, anything you're looking for? Well, I thought so. My dog is like, oh, what's going on out there? So, what we look for is our response towards the dog response. So we start being reactive. We have a reactive behavior from our side to a response to our dog. So if you look things a little bit from a different angle, let's say, for example, let's play with the idea. The dog has 3 survival responses. Give me a second. My dog needs something. He just dropped something and he can get it. Be right back. Come here. There you go. Thank God she's not in the aggressive breed group. But you know what? She, she can be tough sometimes. She gets upset about something. She's gonna let you know. And I think that's the whole point of the conversation we have here is what to do if your dog shows something that you consider aggressive. What if something that you don't see as aggressive, some other people see as aggressive? So, for example, if I do something to the dog that he doesn't like, he has a reason to express it. So he will show it to me because of his body language, his ears, right, his mouth, his eyes, his tail, his whole body language will show me things. And those are happening the moment this dog starts flirting with what's happening in front of him. So, from our perspective, usually as humans, we see basically three responses. Okay, a fight, freeze, and flight response. But actually, is there something else? Yeah, there is something else. Something we actually ignore. And we rather address the fight, flight, and freeze response than stepping in when the dog starts flirting with a problem. So if we have this flirt behavior, is where the dog starts showing all those signals. His body language, his head goes down, his ears go back, the dog is kind of freaking out. And the moment that is not yet an action, but it's just a perception, this is where we fail usually, because the dog is sending us a message how he feels about the situation that happens in front of them, and then suddenly, because we do not respond in helping way, but what we do is we add problem because we start wrapping the leash around our hands and we start pulling on the leash because now we see, oh, my dog is going to do this next moment, and the dog will feel like, oh, she's going to pull the leash next moment, and all of a sudden we're going downhill with that. And so instead of being proactive and help the dog dealing with that situation, we are reactive the moment the dog starts flirting with a problem. So in that flirting process, where the dog starts interacting with the environment and try to find out what the situation is, am I a prey or am I a predator? Am I being attacked or am I being friendly about it? We add another trigger, our response. We get fearful, we get scared, and all of a sudden what we add to that is an additional information of what that we surrounded by is, how we perceive it. So if I get scared, obviously that must be scary, right? If I get frustrated, this other thing must be frustrating. And so the dog takes that information and makes a judgment. And then the dog will react. And you know what's going to happen next? We react too. Again. We start correcting the dog. We start to get the dog's attention. And we try to manipulate the dog in different ways. Hi, Yami. And what do we achieve with that? We achieve that especially those breeds, Bull Terriers, Staffordshire Terriers, Rottweilers, German Shepherds, Presa Canarios, Chow Chows, Doberman Pinschers, Akitas, we intervene in their job to deal with it because we failed. Are you with me here? So if we see here that the dog is not responding while he's flirting with the situation, trying to understand what's going on, expects your feedback, we are quiet. We say nothing, but we give our negative feedback. And we start pulling and getting tense. Our body tenses up because we're already embarrassed from the neighborhood because, oh my God, everybody's hanging on the windows looking at us. And this small yappy dog, who is actually, I would say, sometimes they are very, very mean. Their expression of what they tell to your dog he is or he's not is rude and unsocial. And so our dog will naturally respond to that. I say, dude, I'm not the one who's telling me, stop barking at me like crazy. I didn't do it. Hi, Brandy. Hi, Yami. Hi, Rias. Hi, Tia. So in that case, I would say, here's what you can do. First of all, you need to be proactive and teach your dog that you can help him in all the situations. And I know some of you guys who have done of my online sessions or have done online training with me in person, you will recognize that I have these two basic core exercises. The one is the one treat exercise where I get my dog's attention. So it's an attention exercise. And the other one is our flirt and favor exercise. Now, I could tell you the whole story, but we're going to sit another hour here talking about that and explain to you how that works. But here's what it's not our point right now, but we want to look for is to have a conversation and try to help people educate it that if you see a dog responding and we see a person responding, what can we do to help the situation? First of all, if you see a person who has a small dog who gets reactive, and your dog, of course, he will react because he will not take that blame. What you would do is you have to have your dog know that he doesn't need to deal with it. But first of all, you have to be in a certain state of mind. If you get frustrated and angry with that problem, obviously you're not solving the problem, then the dog comes into that need to solve the problem because somebody has to take care of it. And if you don't have these certain tools in place, then you will not be able to do that. So the tool number one that I'm giving you right now is get your dog's attention, number one. Number two, once you get your dog's attention, what do you do next? Your dog will have to follow you away from the situation, right? Now, here are a few things that the dog will struggle with because of his breed traits. Breed trait number one, we call it stubborn, is persistent. So persistence is the dog needs to stay focused on that job that he does until the job is completed. What makes a job completed? A job is completed if the problem the dog has with it is neutralized. So it's the dog's perspective of what's happening in front of him for him to judge is it neutralized or not. But here's another factor. Dogs are, people call them pack animals, okay? And they have this linear, dominance relationship, which is not right. Dogs are basically self-sufficient. They can handle things on their own. Okay, they don't need many group members. Okay, they don't need the pack. They don't need the pack leader. They can survive on their own because if the theory was right about being pack members and only live in packs, we would never be able to adopt one dog. We would have to adopt them in packs. If you would see a stray dog running around, he would eventually die in a couple of days because without the pack, he's nothing, right? That's not the case. However, dogs are smart enough to team up with other partners to be more efficient in the group. We do that too. Okay, are we pack animals? No. We live in complex societies. We have a family system and that supports us, and we learn from our parents and we learn from our siblings if we have elder ones, and we learn from our close family members, and so do dogs. So if the dog comes into your family and he needs to establish this secure attachment relationship with you, right? He perceives you as a safe source of information. So if you guys have not established a relationship, then it's you with a single dog walking through the neighborhood, and the dog is doing things on his own while you are trying to take control of that is actually doing his own job. So there are two things happening here. There will be you doing your thing and the dog does his own thing. How can we create that as a bundle? How can we do that? So if you don't establish a secure attachment relationship to start with, the dog will not see us as somebody to trust. Some people call it the pack leader. Come on, guys, wake up. How can you be a pack leader to a dog who is a different species? Was he born with you? Was the imprint period of the first couple of weeks the experience between you and the dog? I don't think so. What I feel is we need to look for a relationship, because once we establish that relationship, the dog will look up to us. Because even though if we don't have tail, even we don't look like dogs, even we don't stand on our four legs, we will have a problem, right? Kit, absolutely, yeah. I guess this training isn't for me. Let me guys share with you because you guys already have some comments. Okay. Good. Hi, Amy. How are you doing? Good. Hi, Barbara. Hi, kid. Guess this training isn't for me. My boy is the rock star. But you know what? Yeah, it is for you too, because it's actually not a training, it's just we chat. We express. Because people like you who have a dog who is a rock star are the good sign that you can control a dog. You can be your dog's best friend, right? We say dogs are humans' best friends, but are we the dog's best friend? And so in that case, I would say, yeah, we are good examples and we lead by example. That makes us the leaders. Because you know what? Without followers, you're not the leader. If the dog doesn't follow your instructions, you're not the leader. And what people do, they fall into that trap and they believe, I have to force my dog to see me as the leader. But all we do is we create confusion and frustration to the dog. And especially if we need it out there on the walk, it's falling short. Did you have a coffee? So what we want to look for again here is once we establish that secure attachment relationship, the dog will follow through. So we get the dog's attention. The next thing we're going to teach the dog is to walk away from it. Because the dog's, once he has that concept and he's kind of locked into the situation, what will tell him that that is neutralized? What is that? I mean, Susie knew, Dr. Bordeaux, and he looks over when on walks. It's hard to get his attention. I have used hot dogs and cheese. It sometimes works, but not always. That's a great question. Let's talk about that a little bit. What's happening with your Dr. Bordeaux? By the way, how old is your dog? Maybe you want to type that too. So if the dog comes in and goes out for a walk, the first thing the dog do is going to lock in to start searching for things. Okay. And how old is your dog, Amy? And the next thing we're going to look for is why is the dog searching? Well, searching and looking for is what dogs do. They roam around, try to get, and they look around to try to find things that stimulates them. So dogs are out there to entertain themselves. And the next thing we're going to do is what is going on in the dog's brain. What the dogs do is he starts perceiving that information and he wants more of it. So first behavior is I do to get more of it. So the more I sniff, the more information I get. Now, is this a good time to get your dog's attention and teach him how to get attention? No, of course not. What you have to do is you go all the way back to the beginning in the house and teach the dog attention exercises. So if you don't know how to teach your dog attention exercises, it depends on different dogs. But in general, rule of thumb is to condition your dog through classical conditioning that a specific word that you will choose has a certain outcome. But people associate that attention word with treats. They give it a value, a specific value. Now, if a dog looks outside and searches for something and he has a value that's higher than yours, then your system fails. Exactly, Amy. The look exercise. Now, people have a concept that says, they show the dogs the treat and then they look it in their eyes and they look and then give the dog a treat. That's not what we're looking for here. That's a misconception because look is not an obedience exercise. It's not about the dog looking at you because the dog looking at you doesn't mean you have the brain. Make sense? We have to come in from a different angle and tell the dog, hey, I have a solution to your problem. And your dog is like, oh, I want that solution. That's what you want. So the look doesn't come because you told the dog to look at you. It's the dog wants to look at you. And that's where the disconnect comes in. I work with so many people where the dogs were like, oh, my dog is totally perfectly trained, but I cannot get his attention. Why not? Because you get stuck with conditioning and you didn't generalize the idea of what that means. So once we have the dog associate that looking at you is the source of a solution, then the only thing you have to add is, hey, I got a solution for you, which I call look. So look is not you looking at me. Look means I have a solution for you. Because right now the dog has a problem. Does it make sense? So first of all, we have to teach the dog that there is a problem that he cannot solve. And then the dog will start flirt with the idea, like, how can I deal with it? And the moment he looks at you, you're going to solve this problem. Bingo. Now the dog knows looking at you will solve his problem. And then you take that idea, that concept, and apply it to different areas in your house, in your living room, in your walkway, in your yard, outside. So the general idea is, hey, dude, if you have a problem, I'm here for you. Oh, now you are the problem solver. While before, where you were reacting to the situations, when the small dog is barking at you and you got upset about it and your dog got corrected for showing behavior, all of a sudden, you're not a ballast, you're a problem solver. And guess what the dog does as a species? He wants your help. And what's going to happen next? You got his attention. Now, what do you do with attention? Like imagine you're pushing your shopping cart and somebody says, hey, you drop your wallet. And you turn your head. Why would you turn your head? He doesn't know your name. You just responded because he made you feel the need to look. And that's where this attention exercise should work. It should trigger an emotional need for the dog to communicate with you. That's the bingo. And that's why holistic dog training is different from the other training methods that says obedience, obedience, obedience. Well, how about the dog's emotions? How do we feel about the dog feeling in that situation? Do I blame my dog for feeling scared and intimidated and has the need? Right? Exactly, Amy. It does make sense. Well, dogs are naturally problem-solving creatures. They want to solve problems. They don't want to deal with problems. They just want to solve them if they show up. If they cannot solve the problems, they're likely to walk away from it. So you see, we have this expression of fight or flight. Well, that's a hard wiring. How would the dog respond as a first? So for next, if you do the 2-3 exercise or the flirt and favor exercise that I always use, if you show the dog that there is a problem, the dog will respond how his brain is hardwired. He will push against your hand. He will try to get those treats. That's a fight wiring. Or your dog is like, oh, we have a problem here. I'm going to walk away now and come back later, see if that problem disappeared. That dog is hardwired in flight drive. And then you have other dogs who just sit there and is like, problem. That dog is hardwired to either go in freeze mode. So he cannot make up his mind. He's in between. Some dogs will start shaking. Some dogs start whining because they're kind of trapped in the, I don't know. And that is usually associated with the early stage of development where the dog was not supported. So he doesn't know what to do. Should he stay? Should I go? No. And they just freeze. And this is where you come in again as a supporter because your dog already trusts you. You can give your dog that missing information and tell him, hey, let's go. So this 2-3 exercise or the flirt and favor exercise teaches the dog what to do if he is in fight drive, what to do if he's in freeze, and what to do if he is in flight drive. Before he gets there, before he flips the switch, we want him to communicate with us. That's the key. We want the dog on his own free will to make a turn and says, hey, I'm going to lose my poop right now. Can you help me? Absolutely. Let's get out of here. We don't fight this war. We're going to win the battle next time. And all of a sudden, the problem is solved without you getting frustrated. Because imagine your dog is frustrated because it doesn't have a solution and you come not with an answer. You know what? Your dog has to deal with it because dogs, that's what they do. They either deal with it or they run away from it. And he cannot run away because you have him on the leash. And that will trigger the dog to a fear response that you don't like him to be, showing signs that other people consider aggression. And because of that, you get frustrated and you start hurting your dog eventually, or start jerking your dog, or you kind of poking your dog, or you start yelling at your dog, or you try to get his attention in front of his eyes. Don't look there. And your dog is like, yeah, I know, but that is still there. And so that creates a whole relationship drama right there. No, you don't need to. Because the reason why those insurances have your dog on the list is because many people fail to help the dog learn the basics. So if we look back into those breeds that we have that are on that list, these dogs are not. Hold on, let me eliminate the comments here. So these breeds are not aggressive. Those dogs don't want to harm anyone. Those dogs want to stay away from a problem. It's the people who put those dogs in the condition for them to have to react. And you know what? Most people don't even understand the breeds. Just because it looks like a German Shepherd is not a wolf. And just because he's big, he's not a Cane Corso. And not because he has a lot of hair, he's not a Husky. And just because he's small and looks like a bully doesn't mean he's a Bull Terrier or a Staffordshire. And just because he's black and has cute eyes doesn't mean he's a Rottweiler. So all these things are misinterpretation because many people who have those breeds actually don't help their dogs to become the dogs who they can be. And there's another factor to the equation that most people not consider. And I hear this all the time because, just yesterday, I think I got like 5 messages of dog having issues with their dogs and want to surrender. And I was sleeping. It was overnight. Okay. And this goes on and on every day, every week, the whole month. All those people have problems with their dogs because somebody told them to do certain things that were not appropriate for those dogs. Yes, they're pets. We love them. We care for them. Okay, we are pushovers. I am the #1 pushover in the planet. This Chihuahua comes up to me and is like, I need hugs. And I was like, okay, put my sausage plate on the side and help the Chihuahua come on the bed. Actually, I don't because she jumps on it on her own. But, when I need my dog to comply, he complies because he knows that my instructions are of value. And if he struggles, I have a solution for it. So being the pack leader, as you name it, it's not about how to correct and how to be harsh to your dog and how to be, the tough guy because you have a big dog. You don't need to. You can be a 10-year-old person, small person, and walk your Mastiff without problems. If you can solve your Mastiff problems without going into a fear and panic mode, because we have this belief system that those dogs, eventually most of those are on the insurance list, are so dangerous dogs that you have to be extremely harsh on them. Don't let them take over your house and kill your family. Why do you get those dogs in the first place if you feel that way? Because you like their breed traits. You like the way they look. Which I disagree. You shouldn't buy a dog because you like how he looks like. You would take a dog because of his breed traits. Can you handle those? Are you equipped to work with those breed traits? Do you get a dog who has education in those breed traits? So the breed traits which are good or bad are all on one side, on the bad side? How can you bring them back to neutral? So I created those parenting classes to teach people how to handle those large breeds from the start without the use of punishment, without the use of spray bottles, shaker cans, e-collars, and choke collars and prong collars that all they add is additional problems to the dog existing problem. And I know most of you will think like, well, the prong collar doesn't have a problem and choke collar is just, prong collars are worse. It's a misconception we're going to talk about specifically. But for now, what we're looking for is how to help your dog not lose his poop when you guys are going into a situation. So once we have established our secure attachment relationship, and once we have taught the dog, that we can troubleshoot their problems, and then we are reliable throughout that phase. We always come up with a plan. We always come up with a solution. We always help the dog find a better way. We always show the dog a solution out of his problem. If we are reliable, our dog will be reliable. And you want a reliable dog. And what you want is an independent dog who makes independent decisions. And how do you teach the dog to be independent? Stop micromanaging him. Right? So if your dog does, don't do this, oh, don't do that, oh, don't do this, and don't do that, all the time, all day long, it happens like that. And listen to yourself. How many times a day you say no? But how many times a day you sit down with your dog and work things out? Explain your dog what it is. You don't know how to explain your dog what it is? Well, boundaries, limitations, consequences, which doesn't mean punishment. A consequence could be, you ring the bell and the doorbell goes on. That's a consequence of you pushing that button. You learn from that consequence. If I push that button, that sound will sound. Well, if you jump on me, you want that treat isn't going to happen. But sitting on your front legs, or being in a good sit position, that will get you the treat. That's the consequence of your dog making his own decisions. So all of a sudden we see that the dog's behavior to get on that 14 breeds that are considered for the insurance blacklisted are there because many people don't teach those dogs their basic human environment social skills. And then those dogs make wrong decisions because they're never being exposed to a problem like that. Or they are exposed to a problem like that and nobody solved it. And most of those people who got hurt of those dogs have also a serious problem. And the reason why is because they didn't understand the dog's signals. And people sometimes are hiding those signals. Every time the dog shows hackles up, no, leave it, drop it. Whoa. Well, your dog feels that way. What's wrong with it? What's wrong with your dog growling? Like, let's say, for example, now that we sit at our coffee table, somebody grabs my coffee. What do you do about it? Be quiet about it? You're welcome. Be my guest. I'm going to order a new one. Is that what you do? No. You say, sorry, that's my coffee. But you can speak a language. You can express yourself without having hackles up because you're wearing a nice jacket, okay, or a hat. By establishing communication with that other person who tries to grab your coffee, if you wouldn't have words for it, what would you do? Right? You would growl about it. You will growl your emotions about him who tried to grab your coffee. Does it make you aggressive? Are you possessive over your coffee? Dude, I earned that coffee. I had 8 hours sleep and I was looking towards my coffee and that guy comes over to grab my coffee. That's unfair. All of a sudden we have justice in game. That's not justified for him to come and take your coffee. And that's where you express your concern because that's not right. Have you ever thought of your dog has justice well? Feeling of justice? If one of those yappy yappy dogs are jumping on you because they disrespect you and they learn the more you jump, the more you get, and your dog sees that because he sees that is not right. And he bites that dog for behaving inappropriately towards you, his partner. Whoa. No. What if we're sitting with my coffee, having coffee with my wife on a coffee table, and that dude comes over and grabs her coffee mug? You haven't seen aggression yet. You're going to see it right there on that table. Like, dude, what are you doing? That's not your coffee. Back it off. Let it back down the table, or you have to deal with me. Is that what you want? I thought so. Thank you. I appreciate it. If you need coffee, I can pay you one. Go over the desk, order it. I'll pay for it. That's a solution too. Right? Because I don't know why he needs a coffee. Maybe he doesn't have money. Maybe he thought it's his wife. Maybe he's blind. He forgot his glasses. I wouldn't attack that person. But if this person continues doing what he does, I will get up for it and I will protect my partner. That's what a dog does. So we have to become aware what's happening in our environment and what triggers our dog. Because we know that our breed is not the aggressive breed. It's a breed who doesn't take things easily. Okay, it's a breed who understands justice and emotional feedback. And if you get frustrated because that dog does that, then he wants to take care of it because that's what he does. That's his breed. It's not aggression. It's a breed trait. So if I have a Great Pyrenees and I wonder why my Pyrenees is going up and down a fence and try to keep everybody away from my yard, and I have a problem with that, dude, don't get the Pyrenees because that's what they do. They are territorial. They are guarding their property and what they consider of a value against intruders. You know how a person comes into your yard? By walking along the fence and get close to the door. What's wrong with that? How about you're looking out on your window and you have your nice, beautiful car, you just bought it, okay? You just got over your head with it, and all of a sudden you see these people running around your car. What do? The first thing you do is you use your remote control. Pew, pew. Tell them, hey, my car is alarmed, so don't touch my car. And if these guys have hoodies and kind of look in the windows, what do you do next? You become territorial. Actually, you become aggressive. Get away from my car. Call the police. Whoa. What if this person is looking for his car and want to find out if that car that he sees right there is his car that somebody stole, looks exactly like yours? You don't know, but you are aggressive. So we see that we are more aggressive than dogs. Dogs just do what they're bred to do thousands of years. So if you have, for example, a Rottweiler, what are Rottweilers bred for? Oh, they're just cute dogs, right? No, they're not. They're not just cute dogs. They're cute dogs who have been bred hundreds of years in Germany to handle and maneuver large animals, farm animals. They were called Metzger dogs. Metzger is the guy who slaughters the cows and kettles. It's a kettle dog, just a bigger size. Not like the kettle dogs we have in Texas and the Australian kettle dogs. It's a big, mastiff kettle dog who don't back away from an issue. How do you teach that dog to back away from an issue? Who was bred to deal with an issue? You see where I'm coming from here? So if you don't set up the whole structure around that, you will not have success. If you start to be mean about your dog's response, the dog will go after you because somebody has to fix it. Make sense? So, I have to sneeze. Social distancing. My wife is on the other side of the table. She's like, ah! Okay. So, we're coming to the end. Thank you. So, how do you think? How do you think about what we talked today? Is this something that makes sense or doesn't make sense to you? Am I so off? Hi, Lee. Oh, we have British guys here too. Lee is in England, right? So, hi, I'm Roman with Holistic Dog Training, and I'm sharing my coffee table with you, and you're welcome to talk. Express yourself, other than tell me bless you. So, what should we talk next week? And I may have next week a surprise for you, so don't miss that part. I'm going to have a surprise because I have invited somebody, we're not saying any names yet, to come and join me on my coffee table. It will be me and the other person next to me answering your questions, and we're going to talk about stuff that you like to hear. So just because I invited you to my coffee table doesn't mean I have to have a monologue. You guys can talk and ask questions, express your opinion, and if you want to, you can actually hop next to us. So we'll be 3 people on our table. My table is pretty big. I can fit totally 3 people here, right? We'll be kind of sliced, like being a little bit more narrow, right? But we'll be three people having a seriously behavior conversation and discuss about things that bothers you, things that you want to learn, things that you saw somebody saying and you kind of question it. Okay, because there are many people, keyboard warriors telling the stories and like, oh, that's what we do and that's what the wolves do to their puppies and whatever, and it's not real happening. So there's a lot of miscommunication, misconception out there, and the reason why I created that coffee table is to clear those wrong ideas up. So maybe you want to put this in the comments and share with you what would you like to hear next time. What is in your heart that you want to share? Is it about dog food? Is it about behaviors? Is it about um, we're not talking about medication. That's dog veterinarian stuff. But we can talk everything around dog behaviors. You have a problem with your puppy. You have a problem with your big dog. You have a problem with two dogs. You have a problem with three dogs. 13 dogs. Okay. You have a problem with animal control. You have a problem with your neighbor. We address that. Okay. So thanks for watching then, and looking forward to see you next time. And have coffee with a behaviorist. So, whoa, we're not going anywhere. Something to think about for next time. Zeus Foster with Mastiff Tomats, 3 years old, and with me a little over a month, no training and never lived in a house, challenging with housebreaking and being wild. How does know his size? Oh, he doesn't know his size, sorry. Yeah, that's a good chapter. However, because you don't want to wait for another week because your dog just came in here, I said, shoot me a message so we can address these things, um, because each day matters. So if your dog comes in and he goes into that routine in 3 months, in 3 weeks from now, he's basically establishing his routines and he's going to stick to those routines because that's what helps him survive, right? And so if we don't address those things quickly enough, they become a habit, and a habit then becomes a law. And what do we do in the house? We soil and pee whatever we find because that's what we do, right? So if we don't address it quickly, but however, I totally get your message. We're gonna do that. We're gonna talk about housebreaking. I don't like the term housebreaking. You're not breaking anything, okay? We don't break the dog for soiling in the house. What we're gonna do is we're gonna help you establish a routine that your dog understands the difference between inside and outside. And especially those dogs who come from um, a hoarding situation, those dogs who were breeding dogs and they were lived in very confined places where they eat, poop, peed in the same place, which was like 2 by 2 areas, as smaller than actually the dog is. Um, those dogs have an emotional trauma that we need to address as well in order to, take care of their marking and pooping behavior. Exactly, right? Is street and likely to be a stud dog. A mastiff is not a street dog. A mastiff got loose at some point, or somebody had him. He got out of there, or he went somewhere else to be mated as a stud, and then he got out of there. So there are all these options and versions, but we have to be very careful that we not stamp the dog as a certain behavior because of a certain breed and because what we believe it is. It's the dog itself who shows us exactly what's happening. We have to start looking at those things. For example, one reason why dogs pee in the house, I'm just giving you a teaser for next time, is because he was fearful. And so dogs mark to secure their safe place, which is your house. So if they don't have created a safe place and they don't feel safe in that house because they are scared, the stressors are up or something, new home they don't know, they start marking the territory because they want to feel safe, making sure that everybody knows that's my safe place. Don't come close here. Like we build up fences, kind of thing. Now we just don't pee, but sometimes we put an alarm sign on it. Remember, protected by, that would be the dog's marking, telling them it's already somebody in here. Good. Thank you for guys for watching, and looking forward to see you guys next Saturday, 9 o'clock Pacific time, right? To online meeting, coffee, dog meetup, and coffee with your integrative dog behaviorist, Roman. That's me, obviously. And I'm so looking forward to meet you guys next time. And maybe you bring your own cup of coffee and you'll sit next to me and we can discuss things, right? So thanks again for watching and looking forward to see you next week.